Warning: the following video contains spoilers from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Animated series. If you have not seen any of the installments of the series in question, please turn away now. For everyone else, enjoy!
It's time to do.
What is up, YouTube? This is Evergon, your chat with the cat, back again for another video. This week we will be continuing on with part 3 of my month-long segment, Why the Anime Doesn't Suck. Now, last week we covered Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, and this week we finally hit the controversial shit can that really inspired this entire series, and by far the most unanimously hated out of all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I'm not gonna lie, this one is my least favorite too. Again, I've already talked about this one in me ranking the series by personal preference. But to be honest, I don't think Zexal was all that bad. At least it had some redeeming qualities. Honestly, the second part of it, Zexal 2, I thought was pretty good. It definitely had a lot more likable qualities to it than the first one, and honestly, I think kind of made up for it. But that's still going to take a little bit of convincing, so why don't we go ahead and get to the meat of this video, shall we? This is going to be tricky, but I do believe I can potentially convince maybe a small handful of you, maybe 3 or 4 people total, to actually try and give Zexal a shot. Now, I'm not going to lie, as I said, this is my least favorite entry in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, and for good reason. That reason? Yuma. Yuma is by far the most unredeeming main character we have ever gotten. From day one, this guy does not know how to duel, and it's infuriating to watch this guy squirm around knowing he's supposed to be our hero. He makes so many amateur mistakes and even questions what certain cards in his deck do. Yeah, can't make that one up. And it's honestly just kind of painful. As I had mentioned in the previous video, how Zexal and the original series are the same, I talked about how they both involve a main character who needs to learn and grow from their ghostly apparition sidekick that teaches them the ways of dueling and self-confidence. However, the big difference being that the Pharaoh didn't have to teach Yugi how to duel, he just needed to teach him about self-confidence. Yugi could duel on his own and proved it several times. Yuma was not able to duel on his own successfully until the very end of the series, and even then, a good number of those Season 2 duels, he was still needing Astral to hold his hand like some little baby. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't grow. Again, he does eventually manage to get good at dueling. And that leads me to the really only reason that I think that Zexal is redeemable, and that is Zexal 2. Yeah, I can't think of too much in Zexal 1 that was actually redeemable, mostly because Yuma is there for about 90% of it. The other characters are pretty interesting, but it's not really enough to take away from the fact that Yuma sucks so damn bad. Now, Zexal 2, on the other hand, actually does kind of show Yuma capable of dueling on his own, at least to a certain degree. He's able to match wits with most of the people that he faces, and usually just needs help with the big finishing move. That's really about it. There's a good number of times where he doesn't have Astral's help and just has to duel on his own, and he does pretty alright. So by Zexal 2, it's a lot more manageable. The problem with that is that we've been tainted by Zexal 1 already, and so the harsh lingering memories are still there of all of Yuma's sucking. But we get a little bit more than that. The first series didn't really have that interesting of a villain, being Dr. Heartland, who we barely saw. However, when we get to Zexal 2, we get a new set of villains, the Barian Emperors, who were kinda, sorta set up in the original, but not really, whatever. The Barian Emperors are really cool. There's 7 of them in total, and each one of them has their own powerful boss monster, represented through the 100 series numbers. Normally, the numbers were only supposed to go from 1 to 100, 100 being Numeron Dragon and the king of the number cards. However, the Variant Emperors have the 101 through 107 monsters who exist solely for their own use. And these monsters are pretty powerful, ranging from 101 Honor Arc to the Galaxy-Eyes Tachyon Dragon, all of which are very powerful monsters, and each one has a set of... Sorry. And each of the characters that wield them are very interesting. Especially, plot twist, Shark, who originally just seemed like one of the main characters, who is more just kind of a rival character, actually turns out to be one of the main villains, with a pretty complex and honestly kind of tragic backstory. It's pretty heart-wrenching to watch Shark go through everything and knowing he's basically abandoning his friends for this new life he's found he always had. But that does still leave the issue of Yuma and all of the events from Zexal 1. Again, this is kind of the hardest to defend. It's mostly because I feel like Yuma was a good idea, just not done right. You see, Yuma is the first main character to not suffer from what I like to refer to as King of Games syndrome. That being where the main character is so vastly talented and overpowered that it's almost like watching a Superman movie where you know he's going to win every time. With the exception of a few duels, I mean, I will admit, each of the three prior main characters have lost duels before. It's just rare. Now, Yuma, on the other hand, is known to lose duels, so it's supposed to make him more relatable. However, most of us still know what all the cards in our deck do. I feel like they better accomplish this with Yuma, the next main character from Arc 5, who did at least understand how to duel and just had a kind of a mixed record, making him more average, where you wanted to see how he grew and what he could become. Now, watching someone rise from the very bottom, having no effing clue how to work anything, I can see a good underdog story there, but not enough to really save the series. And his design is a little odd, too. Honestly, when I first saw him, I thought there was going to be sort of like a Western draw to him. He's going to be some sort of like a card-based bounty hunter. Which, arguably, he was, but not in as cool of a sense as I thought it was going to be. So, it mostly comes down to Yuma being a sack of missed potential. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the series is as bad. He's really the only thing that drags it down. If you can work past him, and honestly you can just skip the original Zexal and just go straight to Zexal 2, all you're really missing is that Yuma meets Astral and they're hunting the number cards. And there's a few other people doing it too, and that's basically about it. But all the other characters are very redeeming. Zexal 2 was very engaging and very fun to watch, and I think it is at least worth a shot if you're a hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I'm not going to say Zexal or even Zexal 2 is for everyone, but it does have its moments. And that pretty much wraps up why I think Zexal doesn't suck. So, what do you guys think? Was I able to defend the series about as adequately as possible? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to also like my page on Facebook, where you can get further updates on content, and let me know your thoughts and opinions there. Like this video, subscribe to my channel for further content. Until next time,